Looking back, what was the biggest reason for Toronto's Game 4 win?
Well, Kawhi, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Skip. Actually, I don't. But it was Kawhi, and you know it, because the game seemed to be getting out of hand in the first quarter, and he was able to keep them attached. They scored 17. Kawhi had 14 of those. And what we thought was going to probably be a mid-30-point first quarter for the Warriors, they were able to finally settle in and hold them to 23. And so what looked like a game that could possibly get out of hand, you go in at the end of the first quarter, you're only up 6 points, 23-17. Now, even though Kawhi did not score in the second quarter, they found a way to limit the amount of damage that the Warriors could do. And so they go in at the half only down, 4 points. And if I'm Nick Nurse, I'm in the locker room, I'm telling them, look, guys, we shot 34% in the half. They shot 48%, and they're only up 4 points. They're in trouble. We got the best player on the planet that's playing right now, and he played like it. Skip Bayless is going to tell you about the fourth quarter.
Do you think Nick Nurse said that at halftime? Do you think he told him we got the best player? I don't think he said that. I'm sorry, I'm going to call you.
Skip, you wasn't in the locker room. I wasn't in the locker room, but I had a birdie that was in the locker room, and this is what
Go ahead.
So Kawhi, but in the third quarter, the fourth quarter would not have even mattered had Kawhi not did what he did. He got 17 big points. He hits a three, pulls up at Draymond's face, hits a three. Draymond has the ball. He's like, give me that. Steals it from him, comes down, pulls up again in his mug. So now, what normally the third quarter belongs to the Warriors, where they've been in this finals run, they've been plus 11 in the third quarter. No, Kawhi said, not today, bro. So what started as a 4-point deficit going into the third quarter, all of a sudden is a 12-point plus going into the fourth quarter. And then he got, you remember, Skip, every game they've had one guy to step up big. The first game, it was Pascal Siakam. Game 3, it was a couple of guys. It was Pau Gasol, it was Kyle Lowry. Even Danny Green chipped in. But in this game, it was Serge Ibaka. Game 3, he lived up to his name because he threw 6 shots out of there. But this game, he had a game like he had against Skip. You remember he had that game against the Lakers where he was like 15 of 15 to start the game, and he ended up being something like 17 of 19.
I'll explain that in a minute. Go ahead.
He had that type of ball game, Skip, and that's what you need when your superstar gets it going. He still needs one person to come along with him. That's what Steph didn't get in Game 3. He had a historic performance, but he could get no one else to come along with him. Kawhi Leonard had a great performance in Game 4, and he got Serge Ibaka to come along with him. Skip, I don't know if you know this. You love Michael Jordan. But Kawhi Leonard joined Michael Jordan as the only guy to score 35 or more points in a road victory. And guess what, Skip? Didn't even turn the ball over. That's what Kawhi did. So he just showed you, healthy, I'm one of the 3 best players in all of basketball. You can talk about Giannis. You can talk about James Harden. You can talk about Steph Curry. But the thing that me, KD, and LeBron have, we're 6'9" or better. So we're cut from the same cloth. That vicuña, the best cloth that money can buy, that's the kind of cloth that we're cut from. And I'm the baddest man playing basketball currently.
Wait, are you making the case that number 2 is better than LeBron James right now? I think that's what you just said. I just said Shannon Sharp just said number 2 is better than LeBron, right?
Is LeBron James currently playing?
Thank you.
Hold on. Is LeBron James playing in these playoffs?
Well, unfortunately, no.
Okay,
so
then.
Does that mean it's over?
So in the playoffs.
Wow.
In the playoffs.
I can't believe you admit that. Shocking.
In the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard is the best player playing.
LeBron, did you hear that? Do you realize, LeBron, no more DMs to LeShannon? He just burned the bridge.
See, I know what you tried to do, Skip Bayless, but everybody heard the words that came out of my mouth.
They heard it.
I was abundantly.
I was backtrack it, but it's unsuccessful. It's okay. Now it's my turn.
I said I'm the baddest man currently playing in the playoffs. That's what I said.
Yeah, you are. I think you're speaking for number 2. The point is, I will give you this. Number 2 played very well on Friday night because sometimes a bad guy has a good game. It happens because sometimes
don't do that,
crime
Skip.
pays, and crime paid on Friday night again. Maybe it'll pay off in big dividends tonight. I don't know. But it wasn't like number 2 took over the fourth quarter. It wasn't like he dominated down the stretch in crunch time. Number 2 in the fourth quarter on Friday night took a total of 2 shots. Grand total, 2 shots, and he made 1 of them.
That's it.
Whoop-de-doo.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, way to go.
What about that third quarter? What
I will give you this. Golden State was up 4 at halftime, and right out of the box, right out of halftime, number 2, with no real big pressure on him at that point, made 2 big threes. And I give you, those were 2 game-turning threes because they reversed the momentum. And to his credit, he came right down, pulled up with just 30 seconds into the half, made the first one, and 46 seconds into the half, he made his second one. And that set the tone for an all-out Toronto furious rally that just engulfed and overwhelmed and overpowered the home team, 37-21 in the third quarter. But even though the second 3 at 46 seconds into the third quarter gave them their first lead, Toronto, what shot gave them their final lead? What shot put them completely over the top? Aha, it was with 4 minutes left in the third quarter when somebody hit a big 3. Who could that be, Shannon Sharp? It was Serge. Serge Ibaka came out of nowhere and hit a huge 3 that gave him the lead for good. And I have seen this horror movie before because I had to live through it. It was actually Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals in 2012. And it was against my San Antonio Spurs. And my Spurs won the first 2 games in San Antonio up 2-0. Oklahoma City barely squeaked out a win in Game 3 in Oklahoma City. So now it's still 2-1 San Antonio in Game 4. Turning point, pivotal game. And what does Serge do? He goes 11 for 11. He goes 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and he was the difference in that game and ultimately in that series because that evened it up at 2-all, and the Thunder went right on to win the next game and the next game and go to the finals.
They won 4 in a way, yep.
Yep, and that was that. So, once again, I saw the X factor on Friday night, the difference maker. The nuclear bench weapon was Serge Ibaka. He did it to me again. He scored 20 points in 20. I'm speaking. He scored 20 points in 22 minutes with 2 blocks. So number 2, let's see, he scored 36 in 41 minutes, almost twice the playing time of Serge Ibaka, as you called him. And yet Serge, the 20 and 22 minutes, that was the difference. If you take that away, I say Golden State survives at home. So I think the key to Game 4 was Serge Ibaka.
So in other words, the question Jen asked me, what was the biggest reason Toronto won Game 4? And you said it's Serge Ibaka over Kawhi?
Yeah. Because every time I looked up again, I was rooting like crazy for Golden State. And every time I thought Golden State, okay, here they go. Surge. Toronto surged because of Serge. And I give you that number 2 had a big third quarter. He didn't have much of a fourth quarter, but they all chipped in the fourth quarter. And every time they needed a key basket, it was Serge Ibaka. Are you kidding me? And if you want to know the God's truth of what happened on Friday night, Golden State lost that game more than Toronto won that game because Golden State came out like I thought they would. And they just seized control right out of the box, right, to start the game. And they're up 11 late in the first quarter. And you think, can they hang on? No, they're turning the ball over too much because every time DeMarcus Cousins touched the basketball, he just gave it to Toronto, right? He had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. You can't win like that. And my guy, Steph Curry, what did he do in the first half? He goes 0 for 5 from 3. And worse than going 0 for 5, he starts hesitating and hitching with his shot, double clutching, like
He seemed unsure.
Unsure. He lost his confidence. Well, you could just tell by the end of the first quarter, the home team's got no shot here. There's no way they're going to hang on to an 11-point lead, and they didn't. They don't have a primary defender who's healthy on number 2, and if Steph is going to play like that and go 2 for 9 from 3, they're just going to lose. So I thought Ibaka was even better than number 2, and that Golden State was even worse than all of the above for Toronto. So in the end, I got to blame Toronto more than I can credit number 2 or even Ibaka.
What do you mean you got to blame the Warriors more than you credit Ibaka?
Blame Golden State. Yes, blame Golden State.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But Skip, if you remember Game 2, it was a very similar situation between Game 2 and Game 4. Is that Toronto got out to that big lead, and it was Klay Thompson that kept them attached because it looked like it was about to get out of hand. And Klay scores 9 of their first 9 points. I think he ends the first quarter with 14 or 16 points, and so he kept them attached. That's what Kawhi did in Game 4, where you thought a game was going to get out of hand. He kept them attached. He scored 14 of their 17 points. But it was the third quarter. It was decisive third quarter because this is where Golden State normally steps on the gas and all you can see is their tail lights in the distance. But Kawhi said no. But he did, Skip, I will credit that. Serge Ibaka came along because Kawhi had 17 in the third quarter. Serge had, I think, 15 in the third quarter. And the next thing you know, 32 of their 37 points came from those two guys, and then Golden State didn't have anybody that can match that firepower. They needed Steph to come along with Klay like Serge came along with Kawhi. They didn't get that. Skip, at some point in time, there's a big difference. You see how those big threes that Quinn Cook was hitting? Because there was no pressure. Now you're being counted on. Now Alfonso McKinney is being counted on. Sean Livingston, look, he is what he is. He's a great guy to come in and play the point. But Skip, who is he going to guard? You're asking him to guard Kawhi, or you're asking him to guard Siakam. No. They don't have anybody.